It was a Sunday morning, and the first blush of dawn had already painted the skies, casting a golden glow over the quaint cemetery of Hope Village. Birds trilled a melodious welcome to the new day, their songs weaving through the air as the village stirred to life. Louisa, a young girl of 17 with flowing brown hair and eyes aglow with a kind and spirited essence, made her way along the serpentine paths of the cemetery, cradling a bouquet of fresh flowers. Known throughout the village for her profound kindness and her deep affection for all living creatures, Louisa had become an embodiment of her mother's legacy. Her mother, Helena, the town's sole veterinarian and a fervent environmental advocate, had succumbed to a rare illness 5 years prior, leaving behind a void in Louisa's heart that was as vast as it was profound. Every weekend, as if guided by an unspoken ritual, Louisa visited her mother's grave. Each visit was a pilgrimage, a moment to honor the wisdom and love her mother had instilled in her from a young age, particularly a respect for nature and the animal kingdom. As Louisa approached her mother's resting place, her steps slowed, anticipation mingling with the familiar pang of loss. Today, as she laid down the roses, the vibrant colors a stark contrast to the gray stones, something unusual caught her eye. Near an adjacent, unmarked grave, a dog, its coat as white as the surrounding marble, sat unwavering in its vigil. This mysterious sentinel, unknown to the villagers and with a gaze fixed on the horizon, seemed to guard secrets buried deep beneath the earth. Driven by a mix of curiosity and an innate connection to animals, Louisa felt compelled to discover the story of this lone guardian. Little did she know, her quest would unearth revelations as unexpected as they were profound, weaving her mother's beliefs and her own destiny even closer together. Everything at the cemetery seemed bathed in tranquility, save for an unusual sight that caught Louisa's eye. A few meters from her, Loyal, the village's beloved stray dog, lay beside an unfamiliar grave. "Hey, buddy, what brings you here?" Louisa asked softly, her voice filled with concern. Loyal was no ordinary dog, he roamed freely around the village, cherished by the community that Helena, Louisa's mother, had once nurtured him as a puppy. Louisa and Loyal had grown up together, their bond formed in the streets and sealed with mutual affection. Despite his free-spirited life, Loyal was cherished by all, often showered with scraps of food and warm strokes from locals who adored his playful nature and unwavering loyalty. He was more than a pet, he was a fixture in the village, a symbol of hope and communal love. Yet today, his demeanor was starkly different. Positioned beside the freshly turned earth of the grave, Loyal's posture was tense, his eyes vigilant. He emitted soft, warning growls if anyone dared too close, signaling a deep unease. Louisa, sensing distress in her old friend, knew instinctively that something profound was amiss. She approached slowly, with the gentle assurance of someone who understood the language of animals. Crouching down, she extended her hand, allowing Loyal to catch her familiar scent. "It's me, Louisa. I'm here to help," she reassured him in a soothing tone. Despite his initial discomfort, Loyal's eyes softened at her presence. His trust in her, built over years of shared experiences, flickered through his wary gaze. Louisa could feel the gravity of the moment, standing on the cusp of a mystery that only Loyal could reveal. Little did she know, her attempt to comfort an old friend would soon lead her to unearth secrets that intertwined their destinies more deeply than she ever imagined. As the morning sun cast long shadows across the cemetery, Louisa stood beside Loyal, whose protective demeanor softened enough to let her near, though not too close. His eyes, clouded with confusion and urgency, seemed to plead with her, silently begging her to understand a grave message he couldn't vocalize. Louisa, moved by the distress in her old friend's gaze, felt a compelling urge to uncover the mystery of the grave that held his attention so fiercely. She edged closer cautiously, respecting Loyal's protective stance. Yet, when the dog issued a low growl, she halted. From her vantage, she could make out the name Ruin on a crudely marked tombstone, an unfamiliar name that sparked further curiosity, as it belonged to no one in the village. Noticing the upturned grass and distinct animal tracks that peppered the earth around the grave, as if Loyal had been digging desperately, Louisa felt a surge of concern. She turned back to Loyal, whose eyes darted anxiously from her to the grave, reinforcing the gravity of their discovery. After soothing the agitated dog and promising him she would solve this enigma, Louisa pulled out her cell phone and dialed the cemetery's caretaker. "Please come quickly. There's something amiss here," she urged into the phone. When Joseph, the seasoned cemetery worker, arrived, his expression turned serious at the sight of Louisa's worried face and Loyal's uncharacteristic behavior. Tall and experienced, with years of uneventful mornings at the cemetery, he immediately sensed the gravity of the situation. "What's the issue here, Louisa? Why is Loyal so worked up?" Joseph inquired, his voice laced with concern. "I'm not sure, sir," Louisa responded, her voice tinged with anxiety. "He's never like this. It's as if he's guarding this grave for a reason we can't yet see." Intrigued and alarmed, Joseph agreed that they needed to explore further. Together, with a sense of foreboding, they decided to investigate the mystery shrouded by the freshly turned soil and the inexplicable attachment of a dog to a grave marked only by the name Ruin. What lay beneath, as they would soon discover, was a revelation that would bind the histories of the village, Loyal, and Louisa in ways they never anticipated. Under the clear sky, the tension near the grave thickened like morning fog. Loyal, the normally friendly village dog, was transformed into a sentinel, his behavior uncharacteristically fierce as he guarded the mysterious grave marked Ruin. "He seems to be protecting it from something, or someone," Louisa said, a note of uncertainty in her voice. Joseph, the cemetery caretaker, attempted to approach the grave to inspect the headstone closer. However, Loyal's response was immediate and alarming. The dog's growls deepened, his teeth bared in a stark warning, halting Joseph in his tracks. Hey, calm down, Loyal. It's me, Joseph. I'm here to help, buddy," he attempted to reassure the agitated animal, but to no avail. Startled by Loyal's aggression, Joseph stepped back, turning to Louise with a worried frown. "I've never seen him like this. There's definitely something unusual here. It might be best to get the authorities involved." Louisa nodded in agreement, her intuition on high alert. "I think so too. There might be something crucial inside that grave Loyal is trying to show us." Together, they decided to call the police, hoping for answers or assistance in unraveling the mystery. As they waited, the air was charged with anticipation. The villagers, drawn by the unfolding drama, gathered around, whispering and watching eagerly. The arrival of the police further heightened the atmosphere. The officers approached, their expressions grave, ready to take in the situation. Loyal stood unwavering by the grave, his stance resolute as if aware of the gravity of what lay beneath. The villagers, Louisa, and Joseph watched in suspense, each person wrapped in their own thoughts about what secrets the earth might hold. No one could predict the revelations that were about to unfold. All under the watchful guard of a dog whose loyalty seemed to reach beyond the simple bounds of human understanding. As the morning sun climbed higher, casting a somber light across the cemetery of hope, a circle of intrigued villagers and concerned authorities gathered around the enigmatic grave. The air was thick with speculation and unease. "Good morning, everyone," began one of the police officers, addressing the group with a measured tone. "We understand there's an unusual situation here involving this grave and the dog. Could you explain what's been happening?" Joseph, his face etched with worry, stepped forward. "The dog, Loyal, has become unexpectedly protective of this grave. He's been aggressively guarding it and even dug around the area. We noticed his unusual behavior and thought it wise to involve you. In case there's something significant under the surface." As Joseph and Louisa recounted the morning's events, the crowd murmured with their own theories, whispers of buried treasure and dark dealings floated through the air, each suggestion adding to the mystery. The officers approached the headstone cautiously, their eyes on Loyal, who continued to emit a low, warning growl. "Easy, buddy, we're here to help," one officer cooed softly, trying to pacify the anxious dog. "Let's see what's going on, okay?" Despite their efforts, Loyal remained tense, his body stiff as if bracing against an unseen threat, his growls sending a clear message of his discomfort with the crowd's proximity. One officer turned to his colleagues, his voice low but urgent. "We'll need a court order to exhume the body and fully investigate this grave. For now, let's secure this area to ensure everyone's safety, especially with the dog's unpredictable behavior." The police cordoned off the grave, asking the villagers to step back, creating a buffer zone that allowed Loyal some space yet kept the curious onlookers at a safe distance. Louisa and Joseph remained nearby, their concern palpable as they watched over Loyal, who stood guard like a sentinel, his vigilance unwavering. As the scene settled into a watchful waiting, the mystery deepened, leaving everyone pondering the secrets that lay buried in the quiet earth beneath the headstone marked ruin. What was hidden there? And why was Loyal so determined to protect it? Only time and the forthcoming investigation would tell. As the morning stretched into an afternoon filled with whispered theories and anxious glances, the entire village of Hope seemed to converge near the curious grave of ruin. The story of Loyal, the dog with a fierce determination to guard this unknown person's resting place, ignited a wildfire of speculation throughout the close-knit community. Finally, after hours tinged with suspense, the police received the court's green light to excavate the grave. The area was cordoned off, but that didn't deter the villagers, who watched intently from a respectful distance. Their eyes wide with anticipation. The moment the officers began to dig, Loyal's distress escalated. His barks, sharp and incessant, pierced the tense air, conveying his turmoil and apprehension. Louisa, the only person Loyal trusted in this maelstrom of activity, held him close, whispering soothing words and gently restraining him from leaping toward the officers. Louisa and Joseph shared a look of uneasy anticipation as the officers' shovels delved deeper with each careful stroke. Around them, the villagers huddled in small clusters, murmuring their theories and speculations. The atmosphere was electric, every shovel full of earth heightening the collective anticipation. "Loyal knows something we don't," someone in the crowd muttered, their eyes never leaving the grave site. "Be careful," another called out as the officers worked, their movements meticulous, respecting both the gravity of the situation and the evident concern of the villagers and the agitated dog. As each layer of dirt was removed, the suspense built to an almost unbearable pitch. Loyal's continuous barking seemed to plead for caution, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and imploration. The villagers, along with Louisa and Joseph, watched breathlessly, each of them bound together by the unfolding mystery, waiting for the moment of revelation that would unravel the secrets guarded so fiercely by a dog's unwavering loyalty. As the afternoon sun cast its relentless gaze over the cemetery of Hope, the air thickened with tension and whispered theories. The gathered crowd of villagers watched, spellbound, as the police carefully removed layer after layer of earth from the grave-marked ruin. Every scoop deepened the enigma, drawing the onlookers into a collective breath of suspense. The gentle sway of the trees seemed to echo the villagers' restless anticipation, nature itself holding its breath as the moment of truth drew near. Aware of the heavy responsibility and the dozens of watchful eyes upon them, the policemen paused just as they reached the coffin, the atmosphere dense with anticipation. "Let's proceed with caution," one officer instructed, wiping sweat from his brow as he addressed his team. "We have no idea what lies within." With a nod of readiness from his colleagues, the lid of the coffin was carefully, slowly lifted. The air seemed to stand still, and in that moment, Loyal issued a sharp bark, his call ringing out as a stark warning of the impending revelation. The villagers, gripped by a mix of fear and curiosity, held their breath, some even made the sign of the cross, preparing for the unknown. Louisa and Joseph exchanged anxious glances, their minds racing with possibilities. As the coffin lid finally opened, a collective gasp escaped from the crowd. Inside, the policemen were met with a sight that struck them with profound shock and disbelief. "Dear God, that can't be true," one officer exclaimed, his voice a mix of awe and horror. The revelation inside the coffin was so unexpected, so startling, it challenged the very realities of the village. The air, previously heavy with anticipation, now buzzed with a frenetic energy as the villagers pressed closer, desperate for answers. "Someone, for God's sake, tell us what's going on," someone in the crowd shouted, voicing the turmoil that had gripped everyone present. As the truth laid bare in the coffin began to sink in, the implications were staggering, leaving the village of Hope forever changed by what they uncovered beneath the unassuming grave of ruin, as the siren's piercing howl cut through the hushed murmurs of Hope Village. A palpable sense of dread enveloped the crowd gathered around the grave of ruin. Loyal's desperate barks and growls had escalated, resonating with an urgency that seemed to forewarn of the grave revelation to come. The moment the ambulance arrived, slicing through the crowd with practiced urgency, the air was thick with anticipation. The police officers swiftly cleared a path for the paramedics, and as they approached the coffin, the grim reality inside was exposed, sending shockwaves through the community. Inside the coffin lay a young man, barely 18, his complexion ghostly pale and his body trembling. Bound, gagged, and wide-eyed with terror, he looked out at the gathered villagers. His gaze conveying the raw fear of a nightmare lived. The discovery was so astounding, so beyond belief, that for a moment, the entire village stood in stunned silence, grappling with the immediacy of the horror and the miraculousness of survival. "I've never seen such a frightened expression on a policeman's face," one villager whispered, encapsulating the shock rippling through the crowd. "It's a miracle he's alive. Loyal saved this boy's life. That dog is a hero," another exclaimed, as people around began to embrace, tears mingling with cries of relief and gratitude. The paramedics wasted no time. They gently extricated the young man from the confines of his grim prison, their movements swift yet tender. As they assessed his condition, "Let's get him out of here. Check his vital signs and get him to the hospital," one of the rescuers directed, her voice a calm amid the chaos. As the young man was carried away on a stretcher, the village erupted into a cacophony of emotion. People hugged, cried, and offered prayers of thanks for the young life that had been spared. Loyal, standing by, seemed to finally relax as the boy was taken into safe hands, his role as protector fulfilled. The event left an indelible mark on the community of Hope Village, forever bonded by the day they witnessed a true miracle, and the day they learned of the deep bond and bravery of a dog named Loyal. As the ambulance whisked the young man away, the atmosphere in Hope Village was charged with a mix of relief and disbelief. Louisa, tears streaming down her face, looked on with profound awe at Loyal, who had leapt from her lap to stay vigilantly by the boy's side as he was loaded onto the stretcher. "Loyal, you're incredible. You saved that boy's life. We will be forever grateful for your courage," she called out, her voice thick with emotion. Loyal, seeming to understand the gravity of his deed, watched intently as the ambulance departed, then chased after the vehicle, his loyalty unwavering even as it disappeared into the distance. He remained outside the hospital, steadfast and watchful. As the villagers gathered, buzzing with questions and theories about the dramatic events. Who was this boy, and why was he buried alive? How had Loyal known he was in that grave? The answers began to unravel as news trickled in from a town hundreds of miles away. Robert, a self-made millionaire and owner of a prominent technology company, had found himself entangled with a dangerous mafia. They had sought his cooperation in a fraudulent scheme, but Robert, with integrity intact, refused and threatened to involve the police. In retaliation, the mafia kidnapped his 18-year-old son, Juan, and demanded a hefty ransom. Despite Robert's compliance and payment, the criminals reneged on their agreement during the exchange, taking both the money and Juan. In a chilling display of cruelty, they buried him alive in the serene cemetery of Hope, sending Robert a haunting photograph as proof of their deed. Devastated yet determined, Robert spearheaded a desperate search, offering $1 million reward for any information leading to his son's rescue. However, clues were scant, and hope was fading fast, until Loyal, with his inexplicable connection to the young man's plight, intervened. The village was now abuzz, grappling with the horror of the crime and the miraculous rescue facilitated by a dog's unwavering spirit. As the young man received medical attention, the community of Hope Village rallied, their bond strengthened by the ordeal. And their hearts firmly with the brave soul who had endured so much, and the remarkable dog who had saved him. In the quaint and close-knit Hope Village, Loyal the dog had silently observed the criminals' nefarious actions from the shadows of the trees. He watched helplessly as they buried young Juan, understanding the grave danger but unable to intervene without risking harm. Once the coast was clear, the devoted dog approached the grave, attempting to unearth it, but the task proved too daunting. Resolute, Loyal stood guard, determined to protect the boy as best he could. Miraculously, after the intense rescue and a recovery in the hospital, Juan was able to provide his father's contact information. When Robert received the call that his son was alive and safe, the relief and gratitude overwhelmed him, prompting tears of joy. Without delay, he journeyed to Hope Village to reunite with his son and to extend his heartfelt thanks to the community and the heroic dog, Loyal. Upon his arrival, Robert was moved by the sight of the loyal dog who had vigilantly stayed by his son's side. "So, it's you, is it, buddy? You saved my son," he said, enveloping Loyal in a grateful embrace. Overwhelmed by the dog's bravery, Robert expressed his wish to adopt Loyal and take him home as part of his family. However, as they approached the car, Loyal paused, his gaze lingering on the villagers he so dearly loved. Though touched by the offer, Loyal's heart was with his village, and he chose to stay with the community that had raised him and given him a sense of belonging. Deeply inspired by Loyal's courage and the village's warm solidarity, Robert decided to give back generously. He donated a substantial sum to Hope Village and funded the construction of a modern community center, complete with a library, spaces for sports and cultural activities, and a new health center. His contributions aimed to enhance the lives of the villagers and ensure a prosperous future for the children and youth of the community. Thanks to the millionaire's generosity, Hope Village flourished, becoming more united and vibrant. Residents engaged in new activities, celebrated life together, and continued to honor Loyal, the brave dog who remained a beloved guardian and hero. Loyal continued to receive boundless affection and admiration from everyone, his legacy forever entwined with the village he chose over all else. In the heart of Hope Village, life blossomed anew thanks to the bravery of a dog named Loyal and the generosity of a grateful father, Robert. Forever changed by the bond he witnessed between Loyal and his son, Robert became a staunch advocate for animal welfare, dedicating resources to organizations committed to the care and protection of abandoned animals. This profound experience left an indelible imprint on his heart, transforming not just his life but also inspiring a wave of compassion and action. While life in the village eventually settled into a new normal, the residents would never forget the extraordinary day when a devoted dog not only saved a young man's life but also altered the destiny of their entire community. This tale of bravery, resilience, and community spirit continued to resonate deeply, reminding everyone of the powerful bond between humans and animals. If this story has touched your heart, wait until you see what's next. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Hit the like button, ring the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos, and join us as we explore more incredible stories. A warm farewell and see you in the next video.